She was just 38 years old, and for me, her whole life played before me. All through life, she's only seen suffering, pain, and only one thought stuck to my head. Come what may, I want to make this lady live like a queen. That was my big why. That was my foundation, how I started my life.
This is episode number 67 of The Inspiring Talk with CEO of Success Gyan, Surendran Jayasekar. Welcome guys to The Inspiring Talk. My name is Vijay Gautam. I'm host for this show. Each week I interview today's most successful and inspiring personalities to help you realize your inner potential. Thank you so much, my friend, for joining me on this episode of the Inspiring Talk podcast. I'm very pumped for my guest, Surendran Jayasekar, who like to be called as Suren. Now, Suren is founder and CEO of Success Gyan, which is among the largest organizers of conferences and workshops in India. Through his company, Suren brings world-renowned speakers and trainers such as Brian Tracy, Robert Kiyosaki, Les Brown, and the likes. Suren's vision is to provide world-class education around personal growth at an affordable price to Indians. Today, his company organizes 150 seminars and events in a year across 6 different countries. He has also co-authored a book with Brian Tracy called Success Recipe, which has been translated to over 5 languages. Suren, through the programs and events, has impacted thousands of lives in India and across the world. Suren comes from a very, very humble beginning, and I invited him to share the backstory of overcoming challenges life has thrown at him and building his company, Success Gyan. He shares some of the stories he has never shared before, so you are in for a real treat today. Make sure that you share this episode with your friends by visiting theinspiringtalk.com/6767. And if this is your first time listening to this podcast, make sure to subscribe by searching for The Inspiring Talk on Apple Podcast, Castbox, or any other podcast apps so that you won't miss any upcoming episodes. Now, without further ado, let me welcome Surendran Jayasekar. Suren, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you so much for welcoming to the show.
I first came to know about you, or maybe, first I have seen you at National Achiever Conference, one of the events that you organized in 2014 in Delhi. And, I was still in college, and I clearly remember seeing that Facebook ad of National Achiever Conference being organized, and I couldn't afford the ticket for National Achiever Conference at that point of time. And somehow you guys were running, some competition and giving away some free tickets. And I was one of those people, who got that ticket. And, I attended that event 2 full days, and that event blew my mind. I was listening to speakers from Robert Kiyosaki, Mahatria Ra, and, all the other speakers. That was phenomenal. After that, I have attended several other events by your company, Success Gyan. I have recently organized, a couple of other events and programs. So the reason I'm bringing this up at the very first thing on the podcast is I appreciate what you are doing to bring the world-class speakers and trainers here in India. So I'd like to thank you for giving access to these speakers to the Indian. So we'll get into the, how the whole Success Gyan story started. But I would like to start this conversation by talking about your background. So tell my listeners about where do you come from, what was your family background, and what has been your upbringing like?
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you I think you're one of our early customers for us in Delhi. You came in 2014 when we did the first National Achievers Conference. For us, it was a game changer.
True.
And I'm very happy that you are the first guys to come in. Okay, to answer your question, my background. I was born in a very, very humble, simple, lower middle class family. In fact, my house was 220 square feet. Father, mother, and younger brother, and life was going on. tragedy struck when I was in my sixth standard when my father had a paralytic stroke in the right side. So from that day, he never used to work. He used to be at home. My mom was a homemaker and she used to take loans to run the family. I was a pretty decent student, and the school said I was a pretty decent student. They started giving me scholarship. If they didn't do scholarship, I would have dropped out of school at sixth standard itself. So I should thank my school for actually helping out do a scholarship. My goal was to study in IIT Madras. That was my goal when I was a kid. But because of my financial situation, I took a call in my 10th standard. I said to my parents that I want to work early. So I don't want to do my 11th, 12th and go to college. I want to do a diploma so that I can start working from the age of 18. Both of them were really shocked. They said, come on, we'll take loans, we'll help you out. But I was very firm because I knew what state we were in at home and I really wanted to make money fast. So at the age of 17, when I was doing my third year college, my father died after a prolonged illness. And we had almost 24 lakhs as loan. And I always tell people whenever I speak on stage, for rule number one, if you want to be successful, you need to have a strong why. So for me, when my father died, I never cried when I saw his dead body. But when I went to the next room where my mom was there, she was just 38 years old. And for me, her whole life played before me. All through life, she's only seen suffering, pain, and only one thought stuck to my head. Come what may, I want to make this lady live like a queen. That was my big why. That was my foundation, how I started my life. And I started working at the age of 18. My first job was, in fact, in Delhi, your city. And that's how life started. That's my early, humble background.
So what was your first job and how did you get started in that? So maybe you want to talk a little bit about, different things that you have done so that my listeners get perspective of where you have actually been and, the kind of situation that you have been in your own life.
My first job was 18. As I said, I didn't do college. I did a diploma in electronics and communication. HCL did a campus interview where I studied. And I think my salary was 3,400 odd rupees. And I always tell people that my salary was not sufficient to pay the interest of my loans. So my first job was in Delhi. I loved Delhi because I was 18, my first job. I loved Delhi. It was amazing. So I'm a forced entrepreneur because the salary wouldn't take care of the interest of my loans. I had to do something extra. That's how my life started. So HCL, I was there for a year. Then I got transferred back, came back to Chennai. I was one more year in HCL. Then I was looking for something else when I started a collection agency for a company called SkyCell, which became Apple in Chennai later. So I've done that. I've done a lot of collection agencies, made money, lost money. Then network marketing bug came to me in 2000. I joined Herbalife, made lots of money. There was a leader who I followed. So 8 months later, the guy said, we'll go to one more company. I followed him, made money, lost money. And that's how the story. So I've done hundreds of things. You name it. Uh, I always tell people, successful people are stories of failure who never gave up and made it. So I have lots of failures in my life, but I never gave up, I think.
Interesting. So Suren, when you were talking about the different jobs that you were doing and you had this bigger responsibility of a family, because I'm assuming that you were only earning member because, after your dad passed away and you have this responsibility. So now I'm thinking from a rational side of my, head, for somebody, who has got the whole responsibility of his family on him, having a job is like the safest spot to be on, right?
Yeah.
Taking an entrepreneurial leap is something that, you must be crazy to be thinking like that because you have this safe salary coming in. So how did that entrepreneurial bug beat you?
I always tell people who come to my room also, because when they come to a Success Gyan seminar, they get really inspired and they say, next day morning, I'm going to go quit my job. So I tell them very clearly, you need the job because you need that money to feed your family. So you can't quit your job. So if you have entrepreneurial dreams, I always tell you can do a focused part-time with a full-time attitude. So do your job in your spare time, build your business in such a way that the day your part-time business income is more than your regular income, you qualify to quit your job. Until that, you can't quit your job. That's my formula. So you need to do focused part-time with a full-time attitude. That's my recipe.
I 100% agree with what you have said. And that's something that I have done with myself as well. I did my side gig for 15 months before I actually quit my job because I now, saw that validation of the idea that I had on my mind, and I was making more than what I was making on my full-time job. And I thought, okay, now is the time for me to take this plunge. So I think I see a lot of people doing the mistake that you are talking about, right? Yeah, they get pumped up on Success Gyan events and other motivational, seminars. And the next day, the first thing that they do is go and put on those papers. I think that's the worst thing that you can do.
Yeah.
So what was your first venture? Talk about, how you got started with that. And, and also obviously Success Gyan will come to that later on, but that definitely is not your first venture.
Yeah.
You had other 3 failed businesses. Maybe you want to talk about those as well.
First I used to run a collection agency. We made some money. We made a lot of mistakes there. I would say network marketing actually taught me a lot of things. And in fact, I tell every single person I meet, once in your lifetime, you have to do some network marketing, a good company, for 3 basic reasons. One is you get through fear of failure. Once you do a good network marketing company, you will never fear failure. Second, you kind of start reading people. You kind of know what the person is going to say, what is he coming for. You kind of start reading people. Third, you get into a learning ecosystem. These are 3 reasons why I tell people you should do network marketing sometime in your life, because these 3 things are invaluable lessons which will change your life completely. Now to your question. So network marketing was my biggest failure, because first company I made money. My upline leader said we'll go to one more company. We went there. I made lots of money. I was very good. The company changed the plan, so we went back to the streets. Then third company we did really well. Then the technology swiped it out. So back to the streets. So like we made money, we lost it all, and you know the story. So that
True.
I was in that state when I went to a March 5th, 2006 Brian Tracy seminar, which changed my life.
Yeah, you talk a lot about, and this is where exactly I was coming to, you have said a lot in the past as well, and on your events as well, you talk a lot about attending Brian Tracy event. So I want to, go a bit deeper into that and want to understand what is it that you were going through at that particular phase. And if you remember, how that seminar helped you transform your life, or if there is something that, really stuck with you about that seminar, or attending that program by Brian Tracy that has transformed your life. If you would like to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Vijay, I've never shared this in public domain, so you're the first one to hear it. Okay. So I've gone through 2 business failures, my worst low in my life, and I was somewhere seated middle, and the seminar was happening in Chennai, in a place called Chinmaya Heritage. Brian Tracy was doing a personal development topic like double your income and productivity, something like that. So I was sitting there. Brian is a phenomenal speaker. If you heard him speak, he speaks like
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
fountain, waterfall. It's like so free flowing, amazing. So it was really good. I was enjoying it. Somewhere in between, he said a piece, which was like he was doing a one-to-one for me. It was like only for me, and I got it. And the piece was like this. It was more like I wouldn't. It was more spiritual than a personal development piece. He said, when God wants to gift you something, He gift wraps it in the name of challenge, and He hits you. If you don't understand it, you don't get the answer. He will give you some more time. He'll hit you harder. If you still don't get the answer, he's going to give you some more time, hit you harder. If you still don't get the answer, he's going to give you some more time, hit you so hard that you get the answer. Smart people get it right the first time. And he said that when you are hit in life, there are only 2 questions you need to ask. The first question, what is the lesson you have to learn from this? Second, what to do next? That's the only 2 questions you ask. You never ask a why question. Why did it happen to me? Why me? You never go that route, because you'll never get an answer. Because all through that, my journey before that, I was always blaming somebody else. My partner screwed up. The company which I worked in changed the plan. It was always outside. The whole perspective is saying that what is the lesson I have to learn? Why am I attracting such a pattern in my life? That perspective changed everything in my life. That night, I knew what I had to fix. I took a decision, what changes to make, and that changed the whole course of my life. That's exactly what Brian said. In the 10-minute piece, it was like a one-to-one, he said to me directly.
Wow, that's just so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing this, Suren. I think those are really, really powerful words. And we talk a lot about taking responsibility for our own life. And the message there is to take responsibility for your own life and look at, what is the message or the lesson that universe is trying to teach me versus trying to put the blame on someone else. The moment you make that switch, I think a lot of things start changing. And 2006, you attended Brian Tracy's event, and fast forward to 6 years, then you were the guy who was bringing Brian Tracy here in India, with your company Success Gyan. So talk a little bit about how the Success Gyan thing stepped up after that, or maybe what are the things that you have done after that particular seminar that you attended by Brian Tracy, and the origin story of Success Gyan.
Okay, Vijay, as I said, March of 2006, that night when I went home, I couldn't sleep. I was thinking like what Brian had said, and two decisions I made. I knew what I had to fix. And second, I said, once I make money, I'm going to bring Brian and run a seminar for my friends and family. That is a decision I took same night on March 5th. So I started implementing what I learned from Brian. The more I implemented, the faster I started growing. Then I started looking at information available in India. Is there any other seminars like this available in India? Then I found that all these world-class speakers don't come to India. So I started traveling to Singapore, Malaysia, attending trainings. I met a guy called Joe Girard, who's world's number one salesman. Then in 2007, I met Harv Eker, Millionaire Mind Intensive, the guy who wrote Secrets of Millionaire Mind. It changed my life. So the more I started implementing all the learning, I started growing in life. So I understood a very simple formula. The more you invest in yourself, the faster you can grow. So life was going very good. In November 2011, I went back to my dream. I said, okay, I had a dream to bring Brian Tracy for my friends and family. So Success Gyan was started actually only to bring Brian to Chennai. That's it. There was no business model. There was no vision, nothing. I just said, let's open a company because you need a company to get somebody. So we started Success Gyan and we brought Brian to Chennai on Feb 2012. I invited 400 of my friends and family who came for the event. They came, they loved it. They were blown. They said, can you bring any other speakers like this? So every 90 days, I started bringing people whom I learned from. And that's how Success Gyan actually started.
Wow, I think it reminds me of the story of Richard Branson, how he started his Virgin Airways, leasing the aircraft for people stranded in an airport, and that's how the Virgin started. And I think it's pretty much similar story of yours. You starting the Success Gyan. And now, if we look at Success Gyan today, how many seminars do you guys put together every year now?
In a year, we do 150 plus seminars across 13 cities and 6 other countries.
Wow, that's huge. Yeah. That's huge, right? So you have co-authored a book with Brian Tracy called Success Recipe. How did that happen? Share that story of you co-authoring the book with Brian Tracy. Now it seems like you have started living your life, having fun from that person who was sitting at that seminar, feeling frustrated and not happy with the life, to writing book with Brian Tracy. That was yours. How did that
that's
happen?
A very funny story, actually. So 2012, we bought Brian Tracy. Again, 2013, we bought Brian Tracy. So when he came again in 2013, I was telling Brian, I was dropping him back in the airport. So I was writing a book called First Generation Millionaires. And I had written a chapter in it. So I was telling Brian, I've written a chapter in this book. Can you tell me how is it? Can you give me a feedback? So Brian just looked up and said, Suren, can I suggest something? I said, what? You are a student in my seminar in your worst low. You've turned your life now. Now you run India's largest seminar organizer where you're bringing me back and transforming people's life. You are a success story from my room. Would you like to co-author a book with me?
Wow.
Like I was thinking, did I get it right? Is Brian Tracy suggesting, can we co-author a book? Then I asked him again. I said, Brian, are you saying, can we write a book together? He said, yes. I said, man, what more can I ask for? That's it. Then I said, the whole success recipe is what I learned from Brian. That's it. As simple as that. Then we wrote the book, and we launched the book when he came again to India next time. And today we've sold thousands of copies. It's translated in 6 different languages, Tamil, Marathi, and so on. So that's how the book came up.
That's phenomenal. So, Suren, you have been bringing these world-class speakers and trainers in India from across the world. How difficult was it for you to, at least in the early days of Success Gyan, right? How did you actually convince those people to come to India? Maybe you may want to share some of the examples if you want.
Okay, once we bought Brian Tracy, I understood. I was very simple. I was very clear. I'm going to bring the world's best to India. We had 2 lines when we started Success Gyan. To bring the world's best to India and take India's best to the world. Second, we wanted to bring world-class education at very affordable prices. These were the two thought process we had when we started Success Gyan. So what I did was I found who's the world's largest seminar organizer in this world. Then I knew Richard and Veronica. I knew Richard by person. I'd met him sometime in 2002, 2003. So I said, Richard, I want to start this company. Can you help me out? So thanks to Success Resources that I got access to all these world class speakers, and it was actually very easy. So I have to really thank Richard and Veronica for doing what they did, strategically tying up with Success Gyan and helping us get speakers to India. That's how we had Robert Kiyosaki who came in. We had Jack Canfield, we had John Gray, we had Les Brown, you name it. All these speakers came because of the strategic tie-up Success Gyan has with Success Resources, which is the world's largest.
That brings me to the another point, which is, I'm so fascinated by the way you collaborate with several organizations and, the kind of strategic alliance that you have built with Success Resources in that case, or other organizations that you work with. So based on your experience, what are some of the tips for someone who would like to explore strategic partnership with other companies?
For this, I have a very simple philosophy in business. I call it the 3W, win, win, win. So everything I do works on this principle. My first win is always my customer. I ensure that my customer gets more in value than the money he pays. That's my thumb rule of how I do any business. That's my first win. My second win is I ensure that every partner, vendor, employee who works with me gets his win. And the third win is always mine. So I never change the order. It always works like this. So every business opportunity I work in this order. So when I went to Success Resources, I told them India is a big market. The way we'll structure the whole deal is I will ensure that Success gets paid first. Even if I lose money, once the market shifts, I will make money. So they were very happy. They've never met a partner who came and said that the partner will take all the risk and still they will ensure that the Success makes win. So when I went with that model, they couldn't say no. And I should thank them for really trusting me because I was a nobody when I went to them. But they kind of saw the passion, the integrity, the value system where I'm coming from, what I really want to do Indian market and help Indian students. That's how the time happened. To answer your question, if your value system is high, if you're coming from a space of integrity where you really want to inspire people and change people's life, doors will open. People can see that in you, and the whole world bends down to help you to reach your goal. So that's the answer to your question.
I think I love when you say that, not only about the win-win-win, but also when you are coming from that integrity and when you are, deeply passionate about. You are not somebody who just talk about that, but you are walking that talk and really, and it shows up, right? If you're just trying to fake it, or you are really passionate about that, it shows up on person's face, and I can't agree more on that. So Suren, you have been in this game of learning industry in India for a while now. How do you see this, industry evolving in India? Because I'm sure when you started, it was pretty much like a very premature market. So how do you see this industry evolving, and what's been your experience like being on this market?
BJ, a very good question. 2012 when we started, people said, "Why should I come to a room and learn? Don't I know it all?" Second, why would I pay a training fees to come and attend? My company
True.
sends me to trainings. That's about it. So it was a very different market when we started. It took time for people to understand the value of this education. But fast forward 2019, today I feel people understand this education. They understand the simple formula that for them to grow, they have to invest in themselves. The market has really opened up. Today we're sitting in a multi million-dollar industry, which is going to boom. It is across tier 2, tier 3. My research says that India, it's a multi-billion dollar industry. It's room for everybody. Like you're doing podcast. I know people are doing blogging. I know people are doing online webinars, seminars. It's room for anybody and everybody, as long as you can give value. So to your question, it took us for first 2 years was a little tough for us to make people understand the value of this. In 2015, we disrupted this industry when what we said was, what is the problem here? The problem is people don't know the value of this and they're not willing to pay a high ticket fees to come and experience it. Can we flip it? So in 2014, the program you attended, National Achievers Conference, we bought Robert Kiyosaki, Les Brown. We sold the ticket as less as 2,000, 3,000 rupees. Like it was a no-brainer. You paid
True.
2,000 to come and attend Robert Kiyosaki and Les Brown together, Mahatriara all put together. So when people saw high value at low cost, they loved it. And we started offering courses in that course. So people come to a seminar, they get inspired, they buy our future courses. We changed the whole business model. And from there, we have never looked back. We have started growing after seminar after seminar. So to answer your question, today, I think the market has opened up so big that people kind of value this, understand the value, and they're really geared up to learn online, offline, any model where they can consume this content.
You have had access to these successful people from the planet, right? Right from Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, Harv Eker, and the likes, and the list goes on and on. What are the most common traits that you have seen or observed on these people?
Okay, as you said, I've been extremely lucky to have been exposed to such wonderful world class speakers. And for me, I not only see them on stage, I get a chance to see them off stage, have lunch with them,
So
have
true.
dinner with them, see the true person they are. So for me, from all of them, I see they are very, very authentic, and they come from a very high value system of inspiring people to be the change. And almost all of them come from a space of integrity and have worked really hard to ensure that people get value and their lives are transformed. So for me, I met, as you said, I met Tony, I met Jack Canfield, I met Brian, I met D. Martini, you name it. From
True.
every person, I've learned something. And today, what I am, I have to give credit to all these wonderful world class gurus, because each person has taught me something which has changed my life. And all of them come from a space where their life they've dedicated to inspire people. That's what make them what they are.
Not about them, it's about the people that they are serving.
It's always about the audience. It's never about them.
This one might be a tough one for you. If you have to pick one speaker amongst all these different people you have worked with who inspires you personally the most, which one would you
I know.
pick?
I knew this was coming. Okay, I'm so used to this question now, and it's very unfair to put this question to me, especially for the business I am in. Okay, for me, Brian Tracy is always special because he changed my life, and I always consider him very close to my heart. He was the first guy who kind of shifted the whole trajectory of my life. So I have a lot of respect for Brian, and if I have to take one person, I would always name Dr. John D. Martini as my top of the list. For a simple reason, he's one person who can actually go to the root cause and tell you why you're doing what you're doing and what you need to fix it. For example, he's read 12 different versions of Bhagavad Gita. So
Wow.
the man is extremely knowledgeable. He's a man of science, and his depth in any subject. Like most speakers are very good in their subject. Most speakers are like that. Dr. John D. Martley is the only speaker I've met who can talk across topics to the depth which you can't even imagine. And he's brilliant. So if you want me to rate one person, I will always say it's Dr. John D. Martini.
Awesome. So I want to now talk a bit about the behind the scenes of you have said earlier that you put together 150 programs every single year across 6 different countries and 11 cities in it. So take us behind the scenes of what it takes to put together events of these scales that you put. I know that your guys are always there on the field sweating in and out. So walk us through what goes behind the scene before you open that door at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. for us to be there on that hull.
Vijay, a good question. I would always say this credit has to go to my team, because people work around the clock at times, all through the night. Because as you know, when we say we have to open doors at 7:45, we open doors at 7:45, come what may. So sometimes we've done setup till 7:44, but only we know. You have no clue about it. So we have done. It is mad, but we love this madness. We're so used to it now, and the dedication goes to the complete team. And I should also dedicate the event management. We work with Dreamcraft. They put up the event with us, and big shout out to Dreamcraft for doing what they do. They've been tied up with us from 2014, and we do almost 150 plus events with them. To answer your question, I think doing 10 events, 100 events, 150 events, 2000 events is the same. Once you understand the structure, the system, as long as you have a strategy, you put a system in place, and you have the right team, you can pull off anything and everything. You have the checklist in play, you know exactly who does what, and we work as one team. So we have never had an event which we have started late. We have never had to cancel the event. So I think the credit goes to the team. As simple as, if you have one reason you want me to put, I have a very good dedicated team which does what it needs to be done.
So I think this is another interesting thing that you have said, that we do not, delay event. And this is another thing I'm so impressed by what Success Gyan does is you guys are like best in terms of running the hall. So when we are in the hall or when participants are in the hall, right, when there is not even slight mistake in terms of whether it is in terms of, like, let's say, playing the music, or in terms of putting on the presentation, or in terms of distributing handouts, or whatever it be, right, those minute things and everything that you guys take care of. So could you take us behind the scenes of some of the systems that you have implemented to make this possible?
Okay, as I said, Vijay, it's all team. We have a logistics team which kind of puts what is needed for the event, and we have a crew, dedicated crew, which is comprises of our sales people from our Success Gyan team, plus past participants who come back to serve. They don't get paid. We have participants who want to come and crew in our events, so they sign up in a website, and we shortlist and call a few people. So what happens is predominantly the day before the event, we have a setup day where we meet them, we brief them, we practice. The only way it works so good is because we practice. As simple as there's no other substitute for that. So we practice every single thing. The handout is practiced, the music is practiced, how to remove chairs, how to put chairs, the flow, everything is done to the T. That's why when the event happens, it goes flawless. Like when the handout happens, it comes in your hand within a matter of minute. The music happens when somebody's writing down. So it's only practice, and there's a structure to the team, and we have a very dedicated team, and we have a lot of crew who come back and help us. I think it's a combination of all these things which helps us put such flawless events.
Another thing, I know that you get this question a lot. Earlier on this interview, you have mentioned that your whole idea was to bring best of the world to India and take best of India outside India, right? So there might be people, who might be listening to this conversation after I promote saying that Suren is guest of this podcast. So there might be a lot of speakers and traders or coaches who would like to see themselves on stage of Success Gyan. So what are top, let's say, 3 things that you see on a person before you put them on stage?
Okay, this question I've been asked 1,000 plus times at least.
I
We
know.
have trainers
Yeah.
who walk into my room and say, Suren, what should I do to be on your stage? Okay, so just to tell you, we are very clear that we want speakers who are world class. We are very clear that. So 2012 is when we did the first Success Gyan event. Till 2015, 16, we have never used an Indian trainer. So a lot of people come and ask, don't we have Indian trainers here? Why are you not using any Indian trainers? I was very clear. If I want to use an Indian trainer, I want him to be world class. So when people ask me, what should I do? I have a journey. I tell them what they need to do. Like if they have a mass topic, I can take it up. What step number 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So I always give out all the steps. Very few people have actually done it all. So the first guy who did whatever it takes and did all the steps was Rajiv. So Rajiv was actually a participant in my room. I met him first time in 2013, and he came to seminars in 2014, just like you, in your National Achievers Conference. He did MMI in 2014. He was a participant in our room. And he also asked this question, so then what should I do to be in Success Gyan stage? And I told him the journey. This is what you have to do. And Rajiv was the first Indian who did whatever it takes and did every single step. Then we signed a contract with Rajiv. Today, Rajiv doesn't have a weekend which is free. We take him across the country. We
Absolutely.
have taken him to 8 different countries. We have invites from 20 different countries. We don't have a weekend. So we are saying no. It's a great space to be in. And so I'm so happy that Rajiv was the first guy because he is truly world class. So he's India's
So
best
true.
we take to the world.
Yeah, I can definitely vouch for Rajiv when I was having this conversation the day before yesterday for this podcast, and I have been to his 3-day program, and he know what he's talking about, and he know his thing. So, and no doubts on that. So you were talking about some of those steps. You have option not to share that, but
I can give you
if you
I
have,
can give you a little brief, not a problem at all. So
yeah,
step number
go ahead.
1, the person has to be expert in the topic. That's step 1. Second, the topic has to be a mass product because I'm pan Indian across the globe, so it has to be a mass product. Third, it has to help people to go to the next level in life. It can either be in personal development, it can be in finance, it can be health, fitness, doesn't matter. So if the 3 things are satisfied, I would want the person to come to our train the trainer because we have a different style of teaching. If you come to our seminars, you'll see our style of teaching is a little different. So we run a program
True.
called Train the Trainer, which happens once a year. So we want that person to come to train the trainer. Normally, there are 3 journeys which can happen. Journey number 1, if the trainer wants to promote our products or he wants to speak, do our trainings, teach our material, that's one journey. If he wants Success Gyan to promote his topic, it's a different journey. If he wants to do on his own, it's a different journey. So, but by train the trainer day 4, he'll have complete clarity on which journey he's going to take. So, train the trainer is step number 1. After that, a couple of more steps he has to take before we can sign a contract with that person. So, train the trainer is step number 1.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Suren. So, what's your vision for Success Gyan?
Okay, that's a big question. I'm a person who keeps my future flexible because I believe we are living in a world of miracle. So sometimes we might aim for very little and get stuck with it. I'm a guy who's very flexible. Currently, what we're trying to do is we have a very stable business. We've been growing 100% every single year for the last 3 years. So what we
Oh,
want to do
wow.
is we want to take whatever we're doing right now to tier 2, tier 3 cities in Hindi. So that's my next thing, which is working. I want to take Millennium Mind Intensive in Hindi. I want to take Rajiv in Hindi. So we've already started the development work for that. So by this year end, we're going to take Rajiv to 3 Hindi markets. Next year, we're going to take MMI, and we have shortlisted 18 markets in India. We're going to take this education. That's one of the development work which is happening. The other thing we're focusing on something called Success Gyan Academy, where we want to bring world-class speakers education as digital courses where people can consume it freely. So that is something we're really working
Wow.
on, Success Gain Academy. So these are my next two core focus areas.
That sounds really exciting. One of the things that I really like about you, Suren, is you and even Praveen, your brother, who is, partner in crime with you on this gig, is, you guys are so humble and, so grounded. So how do you guys, stay so grounded and humble all the times? And, sometimes, people, don't even recognize you guys there in the crowd, and you guys are handing them the bottle of waters and whatnot. So how do you guys stay so grounded and humble all the times?
Thank you for the compliment, BJ. Okay, I'll tell you, I have a very philosophy of life. I call it 3H. And for people listening to this podcast, if you didn't get anything from what we spoke till now, if you can get this 3H, I think your life is sorted. So the first H is no matter who you are, you should be happy at that space. Because if you're born as a human being, it's a gift. If you're born in India, it's a gift. If you're born in this century, it's a great gift because with one mobile phone, you can do whatever you want. It's a very level playing field. So, my first rule, first H is be happy. No matter who you are, be happy. While being happy, you should always be hungry to grow. As human beings, we are designed to evolve. If you don't grow, you're dying. So, for me, you need to be happy and always be hungry to grow. While you're growing, always remain humble. That's my third H. So for me, you need to be happy. While being happy, always be hungry to grow. While growing, always remain humble. All these three things need to happen simultaneously. If you can do that, you can manifest whatever life you want. So for me, when I'm in my training room, I'm there only for one purpose. I'm here to serve my participants. So if you want me to bring water for you, I'll personally bring for you. It's as simple as that. Because that's my life's purpose to inspire you to go to the next level.
Suren, if you have to look back at that young Suren, frustrated in his life, or maybe not happy with his life back in 2006 before he attended that seminar by Brian Tracy, what would be the message that you'd like to give that to many Surens out there, who might possibly be listening to this podcast?
So for all the people who are listening, trust me, if you are in challenges, okay, challenges can be divided into three things. Either it's a relationship problem, it's a health problem, or it's a wealth problem. As simple as that, you can divide it into three. If you are in any of the challenges, I just want you guys to understand this. The way the world is designed is if you are going through a challenge, the world wants you to learn the lesson. So all you need to look is what is the lesson you need to learn in this challenge. The minute you get the lesson, nature pulls out that challenge out of you and life starts shifting. That's all you need to focus on. What is the lesson you need to learn and what is the next step for you to go forward in life? And no matter who you are, and trust me, I've been there, I've done that, you can achieve, manifest whatever you want in terms of health, wealth, and relationships. Just believe in yourself. As simple as that. Believe in yourself. Look out for education. One of my second success principle I tell people is invest in yourself. 30 minutes spend a day, either listening to a seminar, going on YouTube, or a podcast. Just invest 30 minutes on yourself. That alone will change your life.
Awesome. So now, Suresh, we are heading towards the enlightening round. Are you ready?
Shoot it, Vijay. All yours. Go ahead.
All right, Suren, you have been putting these amazing events across India and across the world, and you have been inspiring a lot of people. So, what inspires you to do everything that you do?
I was in a seminar a couple of weeks before, and I told these people this. For me, when I wake up, I have a purpose to the reason why I live. For me, I have made my money. I have a couple of businesses which gives me enough cash flow. My life is sorted. I have a very good wife. Life is completely sorted. But the reason I wake up is I want to take this education to the masses. I want to take it to more people, tier 2, tier 3, because I believe we are in the best of the times. Just by not having this education, they might be going through troubles which they have no clue what to come out. So my only intention, only purpose is to take this education to the masses, tier 2, tier 3. And for that, I'm willing to burn my midnight oil. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. So that excites me. The purpose to live and reach out more people excites me. That inspires me. I'm ready for any challenge. For me, whenever a challenge comes, I get excited. So till date, all my life, I've grown because of challenges. So whenever a new challenge comes, I really get excited. Come on, man, bring it on. That's the attitude I always have. So that inspires me to take it to more people.
Which one daily habit do you believe has been game changer for you in your success journey?
Okay, I am a practitioner of Kriya Yoga. So I do my Kriya in the morning, and that spiritual grounding is my biggest secret of success, I would say. I'm kind of very grounded. I have a live spiritual guru who guides me, and I do Kriya Yoga. That one practice really helps me stay grounded, be focused, understand the purpose of my life, and live every single day for my purpose.
Could you share a book or two that has influenced you personally in the recent past?
Okay, I would say two books which I want every single person who's keen to become successful to read. For me, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki was a game changer. I would always recommend that book that people. And for people who want to go spiritual, I would say if you can pick up Conversation with God, Neil Donald Walsh, brilliant book, kind of makes you understand what is life all about. These two books are my always best two picks for the newcomer.
So, could you share an online tool or app that you use on a regular basis that has helped you maybe in becoming better organized or maybe disciplined or maybe things
I'm
like that?
still not a techno freak. I guess I need to come to your course to learn stuff like that. So I'm not a techno freak. I'm a very simple guy. I do use social media. For me, social media I use more for promoting what business I do. I don't post my personal photos. People don't know when I'm on vacation. I keep my private life private. So I use social media for that. I'm still not a techno freak like you. Someday I'll get learned, I guess.
Awesome. We have come to an end of this interview, Suren, but I have one last question left for you. But before I ask you that question, if people would like to reach out to you, maybe or attend, your upcoming events or seminar by world-class speakers and trainers that you bring in India, what would be the best possible way to learn more about those events and also maybe get in touch with you?
The best way to find us is www.successgyan.com. It's our website. It's got all the events listed, and you can reach us in facebook.com/successgyan. These are two places where you can find all the information. And for all the viewers, I just want to tell this, BJ. Uh, I was two business failures, March of 2006. Brian Tracy changed my life. As you know, I've written a book with Brian Tracy. And 2016, something amazing happened. We brought Brian Tracy to Bengaluru for a seminar, and I was supposed to do a keynote. So I jokingly went to Brian and said, Brian, life has come one full circle. I was a student in 2006. Then I became successful. We wrote a book together. Today, I'm going to speak on stage, and you're going to sit in the audience and listen. Life has come one full circle. So the point I'm trying to drive in is please dream big. Don't dream small, because one life, go for it. You can manifest whatever you want. The limitation is in your mind, between your left ear and right ear, what we call little voice. That's your limitation. The words you're speaking to you is what limiting you. Change the words, change your direction, go manifest whatever you want in your life.
That's a powerful one. So here's my last question for you, Suren. Here is this, largest ever built stadium in the history of the world, which has got capacity to hold a millions of people. And they are standing there listening to you, or, they are waiting for you passionately and eagerly for you to share the most important lesson that you have learned in your life. And you have been given only 1 minute of the time to share this lesson with them. What would be your message.
I've already told you, BJ, my lesson for life I always tell people is 3H. Remain happy wherever you are. Always be hungry to grow. Remain humble. Just follow 3H. Your life is sorted.
Follow 3H. It has been phenomenal conversation, Suren. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you. Thank you so much for being here on the show.
Thank you, BJ. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for being patient and doing this question. I truly enjoyed it, and I hope it's value for people who are listening to it. Thank you so much, BJ.
Truly appreciate that. theinspiringtalk.com/6767. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode with Suren. If you did, make sure that you share this episode with your friends and family by visiting the show notes page at theinspiringtalk.com/6767. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you in the next. Now, go out there and do something inspiring.